Hi everyone, welcome to Camo Conversations. I'm your host Eden, head of customer success and community at Camo. Camo is the app that gives you video superpowers, whether that's on video calls, live streaming, shooting video on demand, anywhere you use video. Thank you all for tuning in today. This is a conversation series where I chat with Camo friends about video and how it plays into their industry. The industry that we're going to chat about today is podcasting. We're also going to share some tips and tricks for helping you elevate your video experience and workflow. I'm joined by Harmony Jiroudek of Descript. Descript is the all-in-one audio and video editing tool, and with that said, I'll bring Harmony onto the show. Hi Harmony, welcome to Camo Conversations. Thank you so much for joining me today. Let's kick off with you sharing with our audience a little bit about who you are and what you do with video.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for having me, Eden. Super happy to be here. Love Camo. I'm using it right now, so
Yay.
Thank you for that. Hey, my name is Harmony Jiroudek. I'm a customer success manager and product specialist here at Descript. Before I arrived here, I was actually at another startup where I helped produce online courses. We built a studio from scratch. We filmed 50 plus online courses. We built a green screen studio. And so we had university instructors come to our location. We'd shoot for 2 to 5 days. I take them as a producer through pre-production all the way through post. And this was kind of like during the big massive open online course boom. So it was like, how do you take a brick and mortar course and convert it to an online delivery?
Sure.
And so with that, during that time, I met a Stanford instructor named Jay LaBeouf. He's our head of business development at Descript.
Love Jay.
He's the most amazing human ever. He reached out. He mentioned, "Hey, have you heard of this thing called Descript?" And I checked out the tool, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, why did I not know about this sooner?" It's such an amazing creation tool, editor. There's so much that's possible with Descript, so I'm excited to talk about it today.
I think it's so funny that you said that about when Jay first introduced you to what Descript is, how you're just like, oh my God, how did I not know about this? I feel like that is everyone's response when they find out all that Descript can do, because it is just
totally
so powerful. Because like I always thought of Descript as like a really useful tool for podcasters to take out filler words or to like help find timestamps for topics, transcription. But this is actually when I first met you at Social Media Marketing World, where you gave that awesome presentation at the eCam studio space that I learned that I was drastically underutilizing Descript. So
no, it's so funny. Sometimes our team's just coming back from Podcast Movement Dallas from a few months ago. And oftentimes people would come up to our booth and say, "I use you for transcription." And I'm like, "What else?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, so yeah, coming from that previous job, I was like doing all of our transcription by hand for a very short period of time because I was like, this is crazy. And then we discovered Rev transcription tool, which is great. And for folks listening in, Rev is actually the engine behind the scenes on Descript, helping out with that AI transcription.
Cool. Well, so for those that might not know, or like me, was drastically underutilizing Descript, why don't you give us just a general overview of all of Descript's main cool features and how we should be using them?
Absolutely. So at its core, Descript is a collaborative audio and video editor that works like a Google Doc. So for someone who is not trained in someone like Premiere or Pro Tools, it makes it really easy to make changes to your video and audio by just simply making changes to the text. So that's kind of it at its core. So think of like the first layer of cake, it's an editor. When you record or bring material into Descript, it will transcribe. So that's another layer. There's that layer of transcription, right? Super important for adding captions to your videos and ensuring that everything's accessible. You can then easily go into our sequence editor to remove things like crosstalk. So if you're recording on individual channels, it makes it really easy to make edits there. It'll give you some added flexibility.
Yes, that is an amazing tool. I have been on, so I come from a podcasting background myself.
Yeah.
I have been on some podcasts with up to 5 or 6 people on at the same time. So I'm just thinking
Yes.
back and I'm just like, wow, that crosstalk feature would have been really cool to have, because as you can kind of imagine, a podcast with 5 people all trying to tackle the same topics at a time. There's the whole like start and stop at the same time. Oh, am I going? Are you going? Sort of thing. So that just sounds like a tool we definitely needed back then.
100%. Yeah, it makes life so much simpler. So that's kind of that's another layer there. Two other things I want to mention is you can also record directly into Descript. So if you're
Oh,
like, oh, I need to record some scratch audio, or I just need to record some video directly into Descript, you can use our screen
yeah.
recorder for that. The cool thing is that like once you push record, it'll start transcribing. Not in real time, but
Right.
pretty darn close. Then you've got your transcript that you can start editing from. And
That
then
is
oh sorry,
amazing.
it's
Go
it's
ahead.
it's pretty slick. Yeah. Have you ever tried out like recording audio directly in?
I didn't see another thing I did not
There you
know that I
go.
could do in Descript, but that sounds very useful, because I know just so many moments where I'm just like, I just need a little clip and I need a quick solution to get that done. And if I already have Descript open and I'm already using it, it's just easier not to have to open another app.
100, and just like we were chatting about earlier, like let's say you want to create a different intro for, let's say, this conversation that we're having right here.
Yeah.
Just record it right in and then splice it into the larger, longer interview. So it makes that process pretty simple.
Totally. I really love like the Google Docs sort of vibes that you guys go for, because at least I know when I first started doing video editing, you
Mm,
open it up, whether, I mean, let's not name names, but we've all opened up a video editor and been like, I have no idea what to do, what to click. I've opened up my file, but now I'm scared to touch anything because there's just all these controls everywhere. Nothing is labeled. I don't know how to use anything.
yeah.
I love Descript because it is so simple and everyone is kind of used to that Google Docs layout. So just like it makes you not scared to jump in and start making sort of edits, because the undo button is also right there.
Absolutely. And I think like that's kind of the a big barrier for creators to kind of get over. It's like I
Yes.
don't have the tools, or I don't have I'm not trained, specifically as an editor, and like that shouldn't be a barrier or a friction point. It should be easy to like get into that creation process right away and start editing.
Yeah, 100%. And just like what you were talking about, how you come from like that learning education background, like with teachers these days, most classrooms have gone to at least some form of hybrid, even if they're not fully virtual.
Yeah.
Like teachers are expected to do video content for their students. And it's like, you can't expect teachers that weren't trained in video editors to be able to really polish up their videos. So I just think Descript is that's just another one of the reasons Descript falls into one of those like really useful, easy to learn tools that make content creation accessible for everyone.
100%. Yeah. And I've got one more layer of the cake for you. So
Let's hear it.
we've got, okay, so editing audio and video like a doc, got the transcription element. We've talked about recording directly into the platform. Have you tried out Overdub?
Oh my God, I have only seen the demos of Overdub. I was hoping you would bring it up because it is freaking cool. I have not experimented it with myself, but why don't you tell our audience a little bit about Overdub?
It is so amazing. So it can be used in so many different fashions. And so in short, Overdub is a synthetic voice tool. So for example, I make training videos all the time and I say the wrong words all the time. So if I'm recording a webinar and I don't want to, if I say like, look to the left of the screen and I meant to say right, I can just go in and type in what I meant to say, as opposed to going back and re-recording that entire hour-long webinar. So
Wow.
it makes it super easy to make quick updates and keep content evergreen. We also, for our podcasters, you could use it to like script out an entire episode and hear it, in your voice if you're trying to get a sense of like what the pacing is going to sound like. So lots of different use cases there for Overdub.
That is really, really cool. I am just now thinking about all of the times I reshot a video because I said one word
Yes.
wrong, one word slightly awkward or slightly wrong. And I just had to reshoot the entire 2 to 3 minute video because of that one word. If only I had been using Descript then.
Well, now we have it. Now everyone can have access.
Now I know, and I envision myself doing much less re-recording in the future.
Awesome. We got you.
So what's coming up with you guys in Descript? Do you guys have anything exciting or new on the horizon? I feel like everyone in tech, this is kind of like the season where it's like ramping up. Everyone's got like a big release coming in the fall. So do you guys have anything exciting going on?
Oh my goodness. Yes. It's kind of crazy. So over the last year and a half that I've been here, we've, released, features here and there like studio sound and other sort of features that have rounded out the product. But we have an enormous release coming. It's called Storyboard in Descript. So it's essentially a new UI, so an overall redesign of the app.
Okay.
For folks listening in, don't worry. The magic sauce of Descript remains in that you'll still be able to edit audio and video just like a doc. But new layout, bunch of new features. So stock media libraries, templates, multi-track screen recording, and just a lot of more flexibility when it comes to video editing. So we're adding in additional effects, animations, and just ensuring that like folks can do their entire workflow end to end in Descript. So yeah, it's a pretty big one.
That is awesome. All of those features that you just named sound really useful. And like, everyone loves a good stock media library. And these days I just feel like videos are just sort of taken up to that next level when you kind of have good stock images, good stock library, and also like animation. Like animation is so hard to do on your own. So it's like when there's apps that kind of like come with good options for you to use, that's always like, I'm always just like, ooh, definitely paying attention now.
Absolutely. Yeah, I can't tell. Like, a lot of folks will ask, hey, do you have like music built into Descript, or do you have like sound effects? And up until now, the answer has been no. It's like, no, you have to source that on your own. So now you just type in a keyword for what you're looking for, drag that media in, and you're off to the races.
That's awesome, because I've actually also been thinking about sort of adding some background music into just testing it out, just like that light sort of elevator music in the background, so it's not totally silent.
Yeah.
So I'll be looking for that in the new Storyboard. Did you want to show us anything from Storyboard?
I would love to. Yeah. Is it all right if I share my screen here?
Yep, absolutely. Let's get you added. There we go.
All right. Is this looking okay?
Looks good to me.
Outstanding. So here, as you can see, like still the same experience as far as, taking your text, and we're seeing that there's like a little bit of a false start here.
Recording now. So we are recording. My name is Marilyn Moser.
So, let's say I just want the video to start here where Marilyn says, my name is Marilyn, highlight that text, delete, and now your video starts here.
My name is Marilyn Moser. I am.
Right. So that's kind of like like I said, the magic sauce of Descript, in that you just make those edits like a text document.
For sure. I just think about the times where I'm always like trying to mark down a timestamp for what I should trim the video to. And now you can just do it all in Descript because you know where you want what sentence you want the video clip to start at.
Exactly. And so let's say if you and I were collaborating on this project together, let's say you're like, oh, Harmony, when Marilyn introduces Petra, and actually here's a good example. The AI transcription, it's really good, but sometimes it'll miss a word or two there. So I can highlight that, and I'm going to correct it to Petra instead of Petro. Make that correction there. So now that'll just change the transcript without affecting the audio and video.
Nice.
But if you're like, hey, like let's get a picture of New York City to pop up on screen, like when she introduces Petra, I could add what we call a scene. And scene is like this idea to be able to essentially make edit points in your video without having to go into the timeline. So if you're like, I just want an image to pop up here where she says to us today, just add a backslash, and I'm going to add another one here. And so now if I want like an image to pop up for this short period of time, I'm going to go up to my stock media library. And you'll see that we have like stock footage, stock backgrounds, illustrations, um,
All right.
Jiffy or Giphy, however,
Yeah.
whatever your flavor is.
Whatever, yeah. Whatever flavor peanut butter you like.
Exactly, exactly. Yeah, stock music, stock sound effects. But if you're like, cool, I want a New York photo to pop up here for the scene, just drag it right onto that scene. And let's try that one more time for good luck. There we go.
Yeah.
Cool. So now I've got my image. I can stretch that out to fit the screen here.
Yeah, that's
Right?
very straightforward because you can see it exactly in the preview how it's going to look.
Exactly. And so now we see that that image, it's just isolated to that scene. So now it'll pop from.
She's coming to us today from New York City, and we're.
And if you want, this stuff to kind of like fade in or fade out, you can add in those.
Oh,
You
that's
can
nice.
move
I
this
was just about to
around.
ask about transitions. So
Absolutely. So there you can go in. Let's see here. There we go. Add a little bit of a fade. Move that around. You can add in effects like, change, change it to a blur or zoom
yeah,
blur. You can add in animations, fade in.
that is incredibly powerful. And that is just, I'm just, again, thinking of all those times I have like zoomed into my video editor to find that right time for where I'm trying to edit in something. And this, it's just, it knows where to put things just based on the words that you're saying, which makes editing as a whole just like you're able to see the full picture and not be super myopic as I get when I'm editing video anyway. I get hung up on
No,
making sure one transition is like exactly 3 seconds long or something.
perfect.
So
100%.
yeah.
And I think, yeah, especially for folks that, have long interviews and they're trying to break their content up, this approach to having scenes, it allows you kind of to like organize things almost like a presentation, right?
Totally.
So you can kind of visualize it a little bit differently in that sense.
I love the visualization that you just pointed out
Yeah.
because like just again, comparing it to a video editor we will not name, when you get to the point where you've just got layers on layers on layers of all these different elements of text and picture elements, another clip or something, it gets
Yeah.
really hard to navigate.
100%. Yeah. Like I said, I've always, until Descript, I was so intimidated by like creating any video content. And with this, I'm like, oh, I can do this. And it's kind of fun.
Yeah, that's awesome.
One other big thing that I would love to just mention while we're here. So
Yeah.
we talked about stock media libraries. Another big sort of time saver I think that folks will see is this ability to add templates. So let's say for Camo Conversations, for example, let's
Ooh.
say you want like a front, scene to have like a specific background that maybe you design in Canva, and you want that background to pair with some music. You can build out all of these like custom templates. And let's say I'm gonna grab this one. So drag that right on in.
All right.
And so now I've applied my template, and just like with any editor, I'm gonna you can start layering.
Oh, cool.
Send that backward. And so from here, now I've got this, background template going. I've got my music. Let's see how it sounds.
My name is Marilyn Moser. I am the influencer marketing manager here at Descript,
and I might want to extend that music out, or but so now I don't have to like drag in each asset every time I create a new project or composition.
Yeah, that is so cool. That honestly just looks so easy and so straightforward.
Awesome.
I'm so excited. I can't wait to try this out.
Let me know if you need any help creating some Camo Conversation templates.
Oh, I will definitely be hitting you up.
Awesome. So yeah, I mean, I would say obviously there's a lot more to this update. There's dark mode, which has been requested, I think, since I started. So
yes.
Set that in your preferences.
Yep.
So still lots to come, but that's kind of Storyboard at its core, thinking about this new concept of scenes, stock media libraries, templates, and just making the video editing process much easier and more robust.
Yeah, I love the scenes thing because I'm just thinking about all the times I'm dragging the same 5 elements that I need for every single video, and just even though I've done it a zillion times and I know how to set it up, that's 3 extra minutes every time though. So this just like, and you use this 10 times, that's 30 minutes of my life I have back that I'm not spending importing the same elements into a video editor and making sure it's set up correctly.
100%. Yeah. So for all the video creators out there, like think about how, you might want to like, get these organized. If you're working with external clients, you can create a brand kit that's specific to, a show or, client that you work with. So much time savings. I'm so excited about this.
It just looks so much easier and makes post-production look so much like less intimidating. I'm not gonna lie. I feel like if anyone still had an excuse for why they aren't creating content, this is like the last no excuses thing. You have no excuse. You have no intimidating video editor to navigate. You really just need Descript to make you look and sound good.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, cool. So since we have gotten into video editing and video production, let's get behind the scenes a little bit because we work in tech and we love gear talk. So
yes.
Can you share with me like what you use for your main setup for audio and video? I'm always asking people about their setup and their workflows to get ideas for how I can keep improving mine. So what do you use?
Well, obviously Camo for video. And it's like, literally, I tell everyone about this. I told my husband about it. He teaches guitar lessons out of our garage, and
awesome.
I'm just like, you need to up your camera game. Like, get on Camo.
Hell yeah! Let him know if he needs a license. I can help.
Awesome. So obviously Camo for video. We also use it internally for all of our webinars that we host. So we have a series that we call Descript at Work. So more likely than not, all of the folks that you see on screen for those sessions are also using Camo.
Yeah, I know that there's quite a few Descript team members on Camo. So I'm just like, we're rooting for you guys because you guys support us.
No, likewise. So Camo. And then I personally use a lot of Elgato gear. So my microphone is a Elgato Wave 3.
Okay,
and
that's
so
a popular one.
It's super easy to use. I plug it into my my Stream Deck, which is also another tool I use to manage my key light. And let's see here. I have like some Elgato like stands too for my microphone and my camera, or my phone, I should say. And then I love my Sony headphones. I've had these for a while now. These are great.
Nice. Oh yeah, these are Sony also. I've had these forever. Like Sony, I feel like their stuff is high quality, and I love the sound quality that comes from Sony headphones.
Like exactly, the quality. You can't beat the quality. But yeah, how about you? I love your background. The lighting is just beautiful. What about you? What's your gear setup?
Thank you. So I'm also using Camo, of course. My bosses would fire me if I was using anything else. I don't have anything else to use anyway, but I'm using also a Shure mic. I forgot which number, but it's one of the classic ones that I have to plug into a XLR adapter. Yeah, like I use a Focusrite that I plug it into. So there's a little bit of an extra layer to it. But I like it. It sounds good. And, these have been around forever. So like, I'm probably never going to need another mic unless I get a case of gear acquisition syndrome and just want to try another one, which one of these days I will. But for now, mine does well for me. And for my lights, it's actually my boss, Aiden, was like, you have a cool background setup with your little skateboard and stuff, but the other side of your wall is kind of blank. Like, let's do something about that. And he basically was just like, yo, if you just get some Philips, they're Hue play bars, the bar lights. And he's like, just throw them on in the background and it'll give your background a little bit of depth. And it does. And it honestly, the first time I had them set up, I was just like, I had no idea that just a little bit of lighting could really make my whole scene just pop that much more.
It's popping right now. Like
Thank you.
It's amazing how much, a little bit of light can do to change. Like I changed my, like the tone of my key light, like throughout the day to kind of like match.
Yeah.
I have windows coming from on either side. So it kind of, yeah, as the day goes on, kind of have to calibrate as we go.
Yeah, I do that because I actually have a huge window that I have sort of blacked out right now. And by blacked
Okay.
out, I mean I have 3 towels just blocking the light out because I don't have actual blackout curtains. But yeah, I get like different amounts of light that come in through my office depending on like what time it is. So it's
Mm.
like sometimes I'll just get like a lot of light coming from this side and not as much on the other side. And that's actually why I like Camo's presets. Just gonna work in a shameless plug here,
Yeah.
but I have like different presets that I use for like early in the morning before the sun. You can really tell that the sun is changing positions, and then I have a different setup for when it's like super bright and the sun is like right in my window because just the lighting and white balance kind of shifts a little bit. But yeah, that's like just one of the ways that I utilize Camo. So just again, throwing in that shameless plug. But
I love it.
yeah, what's your favorite Camo feature?
Oh my gosh. I love, like, when you guys released portrait mode, I was like, whoa, this is so good because I'm in my living room. Sometimes my dog jumps in and out. So just being able to
I saw him on the couch earlier.
so like he doesn't need to be in full focus. So
Yeah.
switch on that mode. And it just, yeah, I mean, it gives you such a clear picture. And I also, I'm not gonna lie, like sometimes I'll accidentally put my phone in and it'll be upside down. So I'll use the quick rotate feature.
Nice.
And then like zoom it in real quick. Like I have it on, I don't know, like 130% right now. So just being able to like go in and calibrate those settings super quickly. And that's the thing too, like your interface is so simple and intuitive. And I just appreciate like that clean design aesthetic.
Oh, thank you. That's how I feel about Descript. So that's why Descript and Camo actually go hand in hand.
Absolutely. You can't use one without the other.
Yeah. Do you have any feature requests for us?
Let's see here.
It's okay if Camo fulfills all of your video needs, but I was just wondering if there was anything that you were missing from us because we're always looking for ways to keep improving. So
you know what? I don't have anything for you yet. Do you have this might be something under preset. Oh, look, you do. You have these kind of to be able to change the tone of the video so you can go from like saturation, mono. So
yes.
Yeah. I need to play
Nice.
around with those more.
Well, I clearly have a lot of playing around in Descript to do as well. So we can do our homework for next time.
I love it. I love it.
Awesome. Well, now that we have covered physical tools for part of your setup, I'm interested to know, especially because I know that you come from like education and education learning technology space. What other apps are like part of your workflow? Or if you just have any apps that you feel like are really useful for people in learning and technology? I know we have a bunch of Camo people, Camo fans and Camo friends that are teachers or students. So just what are some of your secret apps that help you in your like daily life?
Absolutely. Yeah. So I mean, before learning about Descript, I used Camtasia a lot. Just like it was the tool that I would use because I obviously didn't know about Descript, and now like never going back. Descript for life. And then yeah, as far as other tools, like obviously like I'll still use Google Docs and a lot of just like note taking apps to kind of ensure that can collaborate with my team seamlessly if it's not video work, because obviously you can use Descript for collaboration purposes. But then Asana is like super important for me as far as like task management.
I've heard great things about Asana.
Yeah, 100%. And it's nice too because like if I'm straddling with other departments, like doing stuff for marketing or working with our support team on documentation, it's nice to create separate projects and keep all of your tasks kind of itemized per team. So I don't think I could live without Asana. And then for like personal task management, I'll also use it's called the Things app. Yeah, Things. Why not? It's
okay. I'm gonna look it up right now. Things app. Okay.
So I just use that for personal task management for sort of like life admin things.
Totally.
It makes it kind of easy to because it's easy for things to kind of cross over into from personal
100%.
into work. So I'm like, okay, Asana for work related things for
Ah,
sort of personal admin stuff.
that is a really good tip. And also, I love the phrase personal, like life admin things, because we have so many of those life admin things that at least for me, they often get overlooked. And it's probably because I need to split up my sort of task list and reminder from work and like personal life. I love that tip that you have it sort of compartmentalized that way, because I mean, I just know, at least me, like working from home, the lines get blurred very easily anyway.
Yeah.
But that's just, I love that idea of like really keeping work and personal life separate. I'm definitely going to steal that.
It's something I'm still, working on. The whole work-life balance from home is certainly challenging, especially when your office is in your living room. you
Yeah.
know? um, but yeah, love that for like personal task management. If I'm working on like projects with, let's say, folks that did grad school, if we're working on like an artistic project, I can just like keep everything itemized there. Um, as far as other gear though, or apps, Loopback is super important. We use that. It allows us to route audio, differently in our demos. So if we're, you know, publishing to something like StreamYard or Restream, ensuring that like we're capturing computer audio, it makes it really easy to route audio appropriately.
Oh, okay. That sounds really useful
Yeah.
too. So cool. Like I said, I always like to get up in people's business about what apps they use to make their life easier, to see if I can add any into my life and my workflow. So thank you for sharing.
Yeah. What about you, Eden? What are like your essentials?
So mine are Camo, obviously. I don't use like Asana or anything for like my personal life, but now I'm thinking, since you mentioned that tip, that I might, because I like to think that my work life is very organized, even though I don't actually use that many apps to help keep myself organized. We use a lot of Google Docs, a lot of Google spreadsheets for the basic functions. I also really like, we use Slack also, which
Yeah.
I also just really like for asynchronous, working and collaborating.
100%.
So like Slack is kind of like an easy answer, but Slack actually, it makes my life a lot easier. So I'll just go with that for now.
No, I mean, there's so many times where, you get off a call, maybe doing a demo and then like, hey, let's jump into a huddle real quick, on Slack. Makes it really easy to just like have a separate conversation. And yeah.
Yeah. And I also really love that you can do like external connections in Slack. Like that's actually how I stay connected with the Ecamm fam, is like,
Yeah.
I have them added from when I was on Leap Into Live last year, and I just like still have them connected in Slack. And instead of sending Katie an email, I'm just like, hey Katie, what's up?
So, I love that. No, I think we're both in that channel.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome.
Which, by the way, speaking of Ecamm, me and Harmony are both going to be on the Leap Into Podcasting event, which is September 29th and 30th this year. It's all encompassing full podcast immersion, I guess. What are they calling it?
Yeah. Well, no, you said it. That's perfect. Full podcast immersion. I love that.
Yeah. And there's so many amazing speakers. You're going to learn all the ins and outs of podcasting, everything from behind the scenes. I'm on the Tech and Tools panel, whatever it's called.
Yes, we're on the same panel.
We're on that together. We'll figure out what it's called by the time it's time for that panel to go. But yeah, so we'll talk about a little bit of like technology and behind the scenes, but I know there's so many great speakers. There's a women in podcast panel. They are, going to talk podcasting best practices. And this is the Ecamm fam we're talking about. So all the content creators are going to converge in that same space. So it is a free event if you're interested in podcasting. If you do podcasting, please sign up, leapintopodcasting.com, and come hang out with me and Harmony next week.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Awesome. Cool. So we've talked a lot about setup, gear, and workflow. Let's get into podcasting. You guys went to Podcast Movement. That was in August, I think.
Late August. Yeah. Time flies.
Yeah, no, wow, crazy. I was going to say last month, and I'm like, wait, was it 2 months ago at this point? No, still last month.
Yeah, still last month.
Barely. But what were some of the main themes at this year's event? Like I didn't get to go, so I'm like dying to hear about it.
Yeah, no, it was super fun. It was only my second podcast movement I've been to.
Okay.
So the last one we went to was Podcast Movement Evolutions, which was in LA. Dallas, much bigger, huge, like
Yeah.
huge exhibit floor, tons of panels, just lots of new tools too that I hadn't heard of. So it was really great to get that exposure and see what everyone's up to. And we actually sponsored a full track for a day that was all about video podcasting, or going from an audio only workflow to also producing video. And I think that, yeah, there was a lot of buzz around that at the conference. People trying to figure out, if they are an audio only show, what are the, like, how do I even start to like cross over or tap into video? There's so many technical considerations,
Totally.
creator tools, like that's like a big part of the equation, obviously. And so one of my favorite comments was like, so cool, like, we obviously need to start doing something with video. Like, what if the start was like figuring out how to bring our entire back catalog onto YouTube and like start bringing that audio only content alive with some video?
Yeah, I think podcasting is in such an interesting space right now, just because. So I started podcasting in 2016, a while ago, and I've been doing it ever since. I still do podcasting. I mean, this, in a sense, I approach it kind of like a podcast too.
Yeah.
But I just feel like podcasts are kind of in this space right now where it was audio only previously, but like kind of starting last year, people started doing like video and like live streaming podcasts a lot more. So I just feel like we're in this sort of like really transitory period for podcasts where a lot of podcast creators are trying to figure out, am I going to be audio only? Do I need to be on video? Do I need to be live on video? Like, what are the best ways to interact with my community? And just like all of these different things that they never had to consider before when it was audio only, that there are all these other options for podcast consumption now. And I think it's really interesting to kind of not just like watch, but also like kind of be involved in sort of the evolution of it. So that's like
absolutely
really, really interesting. And I just was thinking, as you were saying that, like, Descript is such a great tool for people that want to put all of their back catalogs onto YouTube also, because it's just like for the caption files, or just like, I was using Descript when I was drastically underutilizing it, but still super useful for finding those timestamps for topics that I feel like a lot of podcasts also started to do, is like letting people know, not just like in the podcast description, but also if they're on video, like sort of like letting people know what the different segments of the topics are. So I just think that's really interesting. I just was thinking about how Descript plays into sort of that whole decision process for what creators should be doing when it comes to like podcast best practices.
Totally. And I mean, I think like sometimes we'll hear that, they'll, be recording audio separately, and they'll have like a Zoom, recording backup. And it's interesting to see like if there is something kind of salvageable from the Zoom recording, like maybe they just use a snippet of it for, like teaser material. And maybe that's like the first step into like figuring out like, can we use, what was originally recorded, or should we record something separate for our promotional material for the podcast? It's really interesting to think about. And like, I am not a podcaster myself. I don't have one. But like when I first started listening, I always thought of it as like an on the go experience, right? Like it's where, most of the time the experience is like you're primarily listening, as opposed to, sitting, sometimes I'll like watch things on YouTube, and that's totally fine. But for the most part, I listen to podcasts when I'm walking or doing chores around the house.
Yeah.
So
when I'm
what
driving,
about you?
Same. So I think of podcasts very much similarly to you. It's before I moved to New York, it was when I was commuting, driving back and forth to work, when I was running work errands, a lot of that's when I did all my podcast consumption. Also, when I'm doing chores around the house, just like you said, I love when I'm folding laundry or like cleaning. It's like I love having podcasts on in the background for that. So it's interesting. Also, this is something that I was thinking about just yesterday when I was kind of prepping for this conversation, is when you consume podcasts in an audio only form, I feel like it can seem a lot more intimate than if you're watching it on a live stream with all these other people that are also watching it and chiming in live chat. I was listening to a podcast and like had this sort of show preparation going on in the back of my subconscious. And I was just like, wow, I actually think that when push comes to shove, I think as a consumer, I might prefer audio only because it gives me like a much more, even though it's a facade of intimacy, like I still feel a much more direct connection with the speakers when I'm only listening. I don't know if you've noticed that or if you feel the same way. Like, do you, like, it sounds like you kind of prefer audio as well, or?
I think like, and I think my opinion may shift over time, but as a consumer right now, I love the experience of just putting some headphones on and like kind of being able to like visualize it on my own, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Like, and it really makes you appreciate like all of the sort of like magic work that goes on behind the scenes as far as sound design and the thoughtfulness that goes into creating like this really impactful like sonic experience, as opposed to, not saying that like video would take away, and I'll talk about that maybe separately, but like it really like lets you get enveloped into the storytelling without being visually distracted, if that makes sense at all.
No, it totally makes sense. I think it's sort of similar to like when you read a book as opposed to just watching the TV show or the movie. Like I love reading, like especially fiction. So it's like when I'm reading, like my imagination, like I'm picturing these things in my head and how my brain has processed and how I think like the story is being told. And that's like a very personal relationship with that story because it's mine. It's entirely mine. But when it's a movie or a TV show, you're kind of watching someone else's interpretation of the book itself. So I guess that was sort of like what I was thinking of when you were saying that, is just like when you're only listening, you kind of have like your own visualization and you just kind of get immersed in, just like you said, the full sound production of it all. But when there's the added visual element, it kind of can be distracting because then your eyes are focused. It's just like, when you close your eyes, your hearing becomes more, you can hear better. Or like, whenever you lose one sense, your other senses become heightened. So I think it's sort of that effect. So it kind of is science behind why that makes sense. Is that like the visual actually can be a little bit distracting. So
100. I remember when I first started listening to Serial, like I was just like, it was nice being able to let my imagination kind of like go on its own journey, kind of imagine like what the
how these murders are getting happen,
like what's happening, and so without being kind of like told this is what this should look like, right?
Yeah, totally. And of course, this is not to say that I'm not saying people shouldn't do video podcasting. I'm just saying as a personal preference, I think that's where I land right now. But just like you said, Harmony, I might change my mind later down the road too.
Absolutely. And I think there's some shows and companies that are doing some really amazing, beautiful things with video. So I can't remember. This is my bad. I should have done my homework. But there's a particular show that I'm thinking about that was like about mental health and belonging for young people, like during the pandemic. So the video element, I think, allowed to have like this increased level of accessibility by being able to see the emotion and relatability to like the people involved, in the shows. And so I think like there's certainly trade-offs, and that's the fun of it, like being able to make those editorial decisions of where and when to incorporate video versus like let the storytelling kind of,
no, 100%.
Yeah.
I guess where I stand is I think if from a content creator point of view, I personally feel like it kind of makes sense to offer both. or all of it if you want to include live streaming as a medium also, because it is a powerful, powerful way to connect with your community and like really give them that sort of like interactive payoff, especially if you're live streaming, which you wouldn't have with just audio. It's like when I was doing podcasting in my first few years, I would always hear our audience, our fans say like, it's such like a one-way form of communication. And it's like they feel like they know me really well because they feel like they're hanging out with me every week on this show. But it's like, I don't get to interact with them unless, you know, we have a Discord or something, which we did later start a Discord so we could interact more with the community. But I think that is where live streaming and video can really be powerful for podcasts. So all of this TLDR, do it all. Give people options. Yeah, give people options. They will choose how they want to consume it. And if you offer everything, then no one can say, well, you know, I had to do errands, so I couldn't hang out and watch the live stream, because they can still listen to the audio only. So
totally. And there's so many great ways of being able to capture audio and video at the same time. Like Descript, a little plug here. Yeah. We have what we call our edit and Descript integrations with Squadcast, Riverside, Restream.
Oh yeah.
And so it makes it super easy. Like if you're recording, let's say in Squadcast, you push stop, then there's literally a button that you push, edit and Descript. It automatically brings the files over without having to download and then upload. So it eliminates that sort of additional tedious time. So it's easy. It'll bring all of your files over. It'll transcribe. And so even yet another reason why you should be capturing audio and video.
Yeah, that's awesome. What are the apps that you guys are integrated with again? Can you?
Absolutely. So I'll go ahead and we can share this out via a link maybe later on.
Okay,
but
sure.
It's Riverside, Squadcast, Restream, and then you can also actually one of our amazing publishing partners. I won't share my screen again, but you do have the option to also export to a number of other hosting sites as well.
That is very cool. And I feel like the ones that you named, Riverside, Squadcast, and Restream, are kind of the big three anyway. So
I definitely say I would say they're the big three for sure. And then thinking about like other ways that you can export, you can actually export to Captivate as well. They're another part of this edit and Descript equation, but it's kind of the reverse. So if you're hosting on Captivate and then you want to bring it back into Descript, you can edit it and then push it back out to Captivate. So that was the fourth one that I was thinking of.
Gotcha. Nice. Yeah. So what are a few of the podcasts that you listen to regularly?
Yeah. So I love Smartless with Jason Bateman and Will Arnett and Sean Hayes.
They're so funny.
They're so fun. So did you ever watch Arrested Development?
Yes, I love Arrested Development. One of my favorite shows.
So not related at all, but Jason Bateman and Will Arnett, obviously both in that. And I just love the dynamic that those two have. And then Sean Hayes just rounds it out so nicely. And like, it's so, I appreciate how kind of like casual and authentic they are with one another. And I think like it's like going back to the conversation we were having about how we prefer to consume podcasts. It's like you just want to be part of the hang. You want to feel like you're part of like the discussion. It should feel inclusive. It should feel like you're part of this journey. And so I love like how it's just like they bring you in. This would be actually an example of where I would want to see video, because I would love to see like what does this hang look like?
No, and I actually did a little bit of homework, and I was a little bit disappointed after reading the description and who was on it, that when I looked them up on YouTube, they do not have video for their podcast.
Don't have video.
They just have the they do like the audio with the still shot or something.
Exactly.
So they have it populated onto YouTube, but not with video, which I'm pretty sure all the fans are clamoring for that. So
I would be jumping at the bit to see it. And they have like such fun guests. I mean, they the whole like shtick is like the host will bring on mystery guests for each episode. So it's nice because you don't have to listen to it in a specific, sequential order, like based on who you're like. The most recent one I listened to was like with Seth Rogen, and then like if you go all the way back to the beginning, like there's an episode with Dax Shepard, and it's just super fun. It like wraps you into like these these people's stories, their journeys as artists, or what their shared experiences as family members. And it's super fun. It's kind of like a nice escape. So Wondery, like, they produce so many wonderful shows, and like the miniseries team does a ton of awesome work. So love any and all Wondery show.
That's awesome. Yeah. I just know that there's one podcast that I used to listen to, and just because we're kind of talking about how the landscape is sort of evolving right now, I only know of one show that was audio only that has now shifted to doing YouTube live. They stream the show live, and they also later put out the audio recording as audio only. And I think they're a little bit ahead of the game. So it's the Dan Le Batard Show with Stu Gatz. It's a sports podcast.
Yes.
Like a very sport. And so like, I also think that's really smart for them, because when a sports show goes visual, you can add in like sort of clips that you're talking about. Instead, when it was, if it's just audio only, you just kind of have to be like, hey guys, I hope you saw that one viral clip on Twitter that we're going to discuss for 20 minutes. So
or go find it yourself on YouTube, or
yeah, exactly. So I think it definitely depends on sort of the content and just like sort of the vibes as for like which shows will go towards video. But I think moving forward, we're going to start to see more and more of it, whether creators like it or not.
I think so. I think, I was thinking about this other show that I recently started checking out, the Gabby Reese Show. And as we were talking about like earlier with life-work balance, like her shows just kind of, it's all about like, health, fitness, family. And I love that, the first few episodes, she was actually interviewing her husband, Laird Hamilton. And initially I was just listening to audio only. And then I noticed on her YouTube channel, she started publishing video versions, not of every single episode, but it would cut to, I think she was just recording in Zoom, but it was so nice to like see the, the sort of side by side. And there's this one where she was speaking with a therapist about like stress and anxiety. And it was just really nice to kind of like see that human connection between the two.
Yeah, 100%. I do totally understand what you mentioned earlier, like emotions being conveyed via video is sort of like an extra layer of depth that you just don't have with audio only. Yeah. So yeah, that's super interesting. I also think, just like you said, you bringing up Gabby Reese's show as not having the whole show maybe on there as a video, but to like have clips, that's also really powerful. And I think that's a great like sort of transition for podcasters that were audio only, if they want to start dabbling in video, maybe if they're not sure if it's worth the time, sort of testing it out with, just like you said, just recording the Zoom call and putting it out there is a good way for like creators to sort of test the waters if they feel like they're not sure if they want to go video or not.
Absolutely. Doing the shorts, I think, is a super powerful way to kind of understand your limits as a creator, or your team's limit, like what's possible, like, be able to produce enough, right, at a certain pace. Like I think about, like the shorts that, checked out for Gabby too. And like, it's so smart. Like you're meeting the audience, like where they are, and knowing that YouTube is a good discovery engine for all of that. It makes good sense to,
Oh, 100%. I love that you just brought up the discovery element in YouTube, is that even though YouTube is not like, I'm not someone that just goes on YouTube and has the algorithm trained to show me videos I want to see. Like that is not me. But I do know that there are a lot of people that do that. And these are people that I feel like across age ranges just go on YouTube, and that's like how they spend their free time when they're consuming media. And I just love that point that you brought up. It's another way for you to get discovered. And I'm not sure where I read it, but I think YouTube is sort of rolling out sort of more podcast friendly features. Do you know about that?
It looks like there's a big push for that. Yeah, I think folks, keep an eye on what's happening there for sure.
Yeah, I mean, if YouTube is making a even if it's not a big interface change, even if it's a little one, that means that whatever direction that little change is going towards is doing something right. So
absolutely. Yeah. And especially for like shows that are, super long, or, that like the information that's being shared is like very dense.
Yeah.
There's I just recently found out about this other one called Huberman Lab, and like it's discussing like very like specific like neurobiology concepts. Like a lot of this is like going way past me, but like the fact that I can go onto YouTube and like, go back to a specific marker, or I think they call them chapters. It's super helpful to be able to like match up that terminology that he's covering, and then be able to continue on through.
Yeah, and I do also feel like when, just like you said, that show being a little bit more like dense when it comes to the information provided, like depending on the topic, some work better with video and some work better with audio. So that's just like another example of like sort of finding the right vibes for you and your show is just like what your topic is can kind of drive that as well. So
100%.
Oh my God, I love podcasts. It's just
so fun.
I just think it's so interesting, and like I just feel like people sort of our age, it's like we grew up sort of before the internet was super omnipresent, So it's like we remember VCRs and like cassette tapes, and it's like I feel like we get to be in this awesome age of technology where we remember what life was like before, but like we're getting to like sort of see it and evolve with it. So
absolutely.
That's so
well,
cool.
and one thing I really want to dive into, but need to take the time is like this whole concept of companion podcasts. Like I don't know, HBO. I was thinking about like Lovecraft Country, which was this really awesome series, and then like so many of these shows are now having companion podcasts where you can go through and kind of like they could talk through their process, and I'm just like, oh, this is such a cool way to engage with your already existing fans and listeners and help people kind of like summarize their thoughts. And like when I listened to one of those episodes, I went back and rewatched one of the episodes, and it made me like look through it with a different lens. So it's just like I think it's so cool that these studios are doing those companion podcasts.
Yeah, that is just like another way that like, and it's like also like TV shows and movies, these are like big productions, and it's like they almost don't need to provide this sort of extra way to like engage their fans, but like sort of the way that we live now is like everyone wants to be engaged. So it's like I just think that people that already have those companion podcasts are ahead of the game, and I feel like moving forward we're going to start seeing a lot more and more of those.
100%.
I was like, I know one of my friends is a big fan of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, how that they have done they did a companion podcast, and it's just like really interesting, especially because that show is a little bit out of pocket to sort of, hear them talk through just sort of some of their creative decisions. I think is definitely really intriguing for a lot of people for like sort of why they chose to do things that they did.
Absolutely. And I think like that's the cool thing too, is that I think creators are hungry for like inspiration, especially folks that are just getting started. And so being able to kind of hear some of those behind the scenes decisions, it's like, oh, cool. I never would have even thought about, trying something this way. So
I love the behind the scenes sort of peek.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, we have chatted quite a bit about podcasts, and I'm just sort of like, just even talking to you about it, it's like I'm almost in like a little bit of like information overload, because I'm like sort of still processing some of the things that you said, especially like about the companion podcasts and just the different ways people consume podcasts. It's, I think about these things a lot myself, but it's really cool when I get to talk to someone about it, because I always get to hear a new perspective that I didn't think of myself. So thank you.
No, likewise. Yeah. Appreciate you sharing all of your tools that you use. And I feel like I could talk for another hour.
Oh yeah, and don't worry, we'll get you on the show again so we can talk for another hour. Or you can catch me and Harmony next week on the Tech in Tools Leap into Podcasting event. So thank you so much, Harmony, for joining me today. Can I ask you for one takeaway that you want to share with the audience? That's anything podcast related or content creation related. Go ahead and hit us with it.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I would say if you're a new creator or thinking about creating a podcast, try not to get caught up in the technology. But I think like the goal is obviously to be focusing on your storytelling. And I think like being at Descript, it's easy to be able to, find the tools that work for you, work within your workflow, find things that you're comfortable with, and you got to just jump right in. Don't let that tech intimidate you.
I love that. And especially after hearing all that we heard about Descript today from Harmony, no excuses. I really don't know how video editing can get any more straightforward is with Descript. So if people want to find you and sort of like follow you, where can they do that?
Yeah, hit me up on LinkedIn. Just search Harmony. My last name is Jiroudek, Jiroudek. And yeah, please reach out. You can also reach out to me directly at Descript. It's just harmony@descript.com. And happy to answer any and all questions that you might have.
I'll post that information in the description below. So if you have any hesitation about getting started, Harmony is the person to hit up. You can also hit up me, but Harmony is the Descript expert.
And don't do it without Camo.
Yes, absolutely.
Record that video with Camo.
100%. Remember, Descript and Camo go hand in hand. So that will be my major takeaway to share with everyone is if you're using Descript, you should be using Camo. And if you're using Camo, you should probably be using Descript too. All right. Well, thank you so much for this lovely conversation. Just like I said, I have so much more to think about and digest when it comes to podcasts. And yeah, thank you so much. I really, really enjoyed this conversation today.
Likewise, Eden. Thanks so much for having me. Looking forward to seeing you next week.
Yeah. Yay. Once again, that was Harmony Jiroudek of Descript here with me on Camo Conversations today. I hope you enjoyed the conversation as much as I did. I definitely have a lot to think about regarding the podcast industry after talking it out with Harmony. Now, if you have any questions about video or any topics that you would like to see us cover, even guest suggestions that you'd like to see us have on the show, feel free to drop them in the comments, or you can reach out to me at support@reincubate.com and put Camo Conversations in the subject line. I hope to hear from you and see you guys next time.